Welcome to Cat Eye US Stock. We watch markets with calm focus and sharp instincts. It's Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026. Today was a clean risk-on squeeze. Semiconductors lit the fuse, mega-cap tech did the heavy lifting, and both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq finished at record closes. The one wrinkle, aerospace and defense, stood out on the downside, while most of the tape leaned green. On the S&P 500 Heatmap, the board leaned green overall, and the biggest tiles really mattered. Tech and communication services stayed bright, and semiconductors were the hottest corner of the map. On the other side, you had this clear red island in industrials, specifically aerospace and defense, popping against that record-high index backdrop. That heatmap look matched the flow. Money rotated hard into duration-sensitive, narrative-heavy growth, especially semis, and back into the market's generals. At the same time, small caps lagged the Nasdaq, so this didn't feel like an everything rally. And that aerospace and defense weakness? It looked like a very specific pocket getting sold, not a full-blown cyclical unwind. So here's the setup the market chose today. It answered the index-level question with new highs, powered by mega-cap tech and semis. But it didn't really settle the bigger tension, how durable this leadership is, with major macro catalysts coming up next week. And the dispersion mattered. Even inside healthcare, you had some leaders green while another big name lagged. Selective, not uniform. On the rumor and chatter front, there was nothing notable in today's notes. That said, days with a sharp red island, like aerospace and defense, can be especially sensitive to unconfirmed headlines. So it's worth separating real catalysts from noise as the week moves on. Micron, MU, was one of the cleanest tells of the session, up about 8.5%. The move lined up with the semiconductor and memory strength tied to the AI memory demand story, and because MU is such a high-visibility proxy for that cycle, its outsized green helped validate the broader semi-bid driving the indexes. AMD ripped almost 6.75%, a straight momentum chase inside semis on a risk-on tape. AMD also worked as a temperature check. When traders lean into higher beta AI and compute exposure, AMD tends to show it fast. Broadcom, AVGO, jumped just over 5% as the market stayed locked on AI infrastructure and custom silicon demand. AVGO is one of those picks and shovels names. Strength here tends to lift the broader AI infrastructure stack. It's also a good tell for how quickly the tape can de-risk if this corner cools off. Apple gained about 2 2/3%, and that was pure index gravity. Today fit the theme of rotating into the largest, most liquid names. When Apple's up like this, it changes the feel of the whole session, especially on a day when the big weights are doing the lifting. GE dropped just over 3.5% and stood out as part of that obvious red island in industrials, aerospace and defense on a day the indexes were printing records. In the heatmap context, that kind of divergence reads as rotation and selectivity. Winners bid up hard, while that specific pocket got sold down. RTX fell just over 3.25%, underscoring that aerospace and defense was the problem area today. The notes also flagged ongoing sensitivity to the Pratt & Whitney GTF inspection and repair overhang headlines. In a tape-chasing tech leadership, weakness in a bellwether like RTX keeps that group feeling like a funding source for the rotation. Looking ahead, the market's next big test is the calendar. Tuesday, April 28th, consumer confidence. Wednesday, April 29th, the FOMC rate decision, statement and press conference. Thursday, April 30th, advanced GDP, core PCE, ECI, and jobless claims. And Friday, May 1st, ISM manufacturing and prices. No predictions here, just the question. Does this mega-cap and semiconductor leadership keep overpowering everything else through that gauntlet? Bottom line today belonged to semis and the mega-cap complex. That's what drove the record closes. But the Russell lag and that aerospace and defense red island remind you this is still a selective tape. Next session, watch whether leadership stays tight, and whether those weak pockets firm up as the market heads toward next week's macro-heavy calendar. Thank you for watching Cat Eye US Stock. Stay curious, stay calm, and we'll see you next time.